Hi, and welcome to an introduction to time and attendance and the Boise School District's timekeeping policies. We'll start by reviewing the district's timekeeping policies in the Classified Employee Handbook. To access our handbooks, we'll start on the Boise School District website, click on Our District, Human Resources, Employee Center, and finally, Handbooks. On this page, we can access several different employee handbooks, which are an excellent resource regarding the district's policies and procedures that you need to be aware of. Let's first discuss the district's timekeeping requirements, which can be found in section 5.1.2. In this section, it states that non-exempt employees are required to use our absence reporting and timekeeping systems to track time and absences for payroll purposes. The district uses the frontline applications, absence management for absence reporting, and time and attendance for timekeeping. Non-exempt employees are required to clock in when you enter the building to begin work and must clock out at the end of the workday. As an employee, you're required to keep track of your own timesheets, and you need to report any errors in your timesheet as soon as possible to your supervisor so they can make any necessary corrections. It is your responsibility to ensure that your timesheet accurately reflects the hours that you worked. Working off the clock is strictly prohibited, and failure to adhere to the district's timekeeping requirements may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal from employment. While we're here, let's talk about the district's clock in and out rounding rules. If your actual clock in or out time is within 7 minutes of your scheduled time, then your clock in or out will be rounded to your scheduled start or stop time. For example, if you're scheduled to start work at 8 a.m. and you clock in at 8:03 a.m. or 7:56 a.m., your time clock punch will be rounded to your scheduled start time of 8 a.m. If you clocked in more than 7 minutes outside of this time, such as 7:52 a.m. or 8:08 a.m., then your time clock punch will be rounded to the nearest 15 minutes. 7:45 a.m. or 8:15 a.m. respectively. Finally, we will talk about our overtime and compensatory time policy found in Classified Employee Handbook section 5.1.3. Any time worked in excess of your scheduled hours must be authorized in advance by your supervisor or administrator unless an emergency or unanticipated safety issue exists. As a general rule, compensatory time is provided in lieu of granting overtime for any excess hours worked. The district is not budgeted for comp time or overtime, so any comp time earned must be used before the end of the school year. Earning unauthorized comp time or overtime is forbidden, and failure to adhere to this policy may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal from employment. Now let's go to time and attendance to see how the application works for classified employees. We'll start by logging into Frontline. This application houses both time and attendance and absence management. You can go to app.frontlineeducation.com and log in via your district single sign-on, or you can easily access the applications by opening up My Apps, which is found on the desktop of any district-issued computer. First, we'll log into time and attendance. If prompted to sign in, you will use the credentials for your district email account, also known as your single sign-on. You can then select either time and attendance or absence management. For the purposes of this training, we'll click on Time and Attendance. When you are logged into Time and Attendance, you can clock in and out by clicking on the time clock icon, as long as you are logging into a computer from a Boise School District location. Please note that if you log into Time and Attendance from home, the time clock option will not be available to you. As discussed previously in this video, as an employee, you are required to keep track of your own timesheet. To do so, click on the timesheet icon. You will then see your timesheet for the current month. You can adjust the time frame that you are viewing by clicking on the calendar icon and selecting the dates you would like to view the timesheets for. You can view an individual day's time punches by clicking on the small V in the far right corner of each day. Let's look at the time punches on Friday, November 12th. In this instance, you can view the employee's work schedule in the top left. You can then see below that this particular employee clocked in at 7:58 a.m., which rounded to 8 a.m. The sign-out field is in red, which means that a supervisor has manually entered the time. In this case, it was due to a missed punch. Typically, a comment should be left to the right of any time punch variation from the employee's scheduled time, In this case, the note simply states that the clock out was manually entered by the supervisor at the employee's request. Below, you can see that an hour is automatically deducted for a lunch break per the employee's schedule. For most full-time employees, lunch breaks are automatically calculated, and the employee does not need to clock out and then back in for their lunch break. There are some exceptions to this, so if you have any questions, please speak to your supervisor. You can see that this employee was clocked in for 8.5 hours, with 1 hour automatically deducted for their unpaid lunch, for a daily total of 7.5 hours paid time. If you look at the next scheduled workday, Monday, November 15th, you'll see that the total paid hours is 0. By expanding this day's timesheet, you can see that the employee did not clock in or out. They either did not work or failed to enter their absence into absence management, or they missed both their clock in and out punches. In either event, they're responsible for reaching out to their supervisor to correct their timesheet to reflect their actual hours worked, or to get their absence entered appropriately. That covers the basics of the Boise School District's timekeeping policies and the most basic things you need to know as an employee about time and attendance. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact your supervisor, the Human Resources Department at hr@boiseschools.org, or the Payroll Department at payroll@boiseschools.org. Thanks for watching.